Hello and welcome to the Anita Show, a Bitcoin-only podcast. My guests today are Jeff Gallas and Rootz from Berlin. They are the organizers of the Lightning Hackdays, and they also organized the first Bitcoin Lightning Network conference in Berlin in 2019. Fulmo, which is their open source company, is dedicated to the development and research of the Lightning Network. They are also the supporters of the Raspiblitz, a Lightning Network routing node for your home. Before we start the interview, a short message about my book and from my sponsors, and after that, enjoy. Did you know that in the US alone, there's $15 billion worth of gift cards that don't get used every year? According to a recent poll by Bankrate, over 50% of American adults forget to use their gift cards, vouchers, and store credits. We've all been there. We get a gift card for a special occasion, tuck it away in a drawer, and totally forget it's there. It's time to do something with those gift cards. A good place to start is to trade them in for some crypto. On Paxful, you have nearly 400 ways to pay for your Bitcoin, including a wide variety of gift cards. Don't let those cards go to waste. Trade them today on Paxful. Go to anita.link/Paxful to trade your cards for Bitcoin today. That's anita.link/Paxful. Living on crypto is easier than you think with Bitrefill. Choose from over 4,000 gift cards and mobile top-up options from around the world. I used Bitrefill to top up my phone when I was visiting Zimbabwe. It was easy, worked like a charm, and I even earned sats back. Pay with Bitcoin, Lightning, Ethereum, Dash, Tether over Tron, and many more options. No account is necessary. Join the thousands of users around the world who are living on crypto today using Bitrefill. Join now at bitrefill.com and start earning sats back with each purchase. That's bitrefill.com.
Learn Bitcoin will teach you the why and how to use Bitcoin. To safely navigate this financial technology, you'll need the knowledge that this book provides. Jameson Lopp, co-founder and CTO, Casa. Order your copy now at learnbitcoin.link. That's learnbitcoin.link.
Hello, Jeff. Hello, Rootz. Welcome to the Anita Show. Great that you have some time to spend it with me.
Sure. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult because I only have 2 microphones, but we will manage, I guess. So you two do you also live in Berlin, or is this now actually privacy
No, it's okay. I think that we are Berlin-based is kind of...
Okay. Jeff and Rootz, you are both Berlin-based. You are part of the Berlin Bitcoin space. I think, Jeff, you are organizing a lot of meetups and stuff like that. Please, can you introduce yourself? When and how did you get into the Bitcoin space?
Okay, so I just start again at maybe what I'm doing or what we're doing right now, and we go back from that a little bit. So right now we're mostly working on the sort of the label Fulmo. It's also a company, but I think it's kind of blurry in a way that it's a bunch of things. We're Berlin based and have been working on promoting and exploring the Lightning Network for the past 3 years, around that 2.5, 3 years. And we've been doing couple of events over the years, and this is kind of one point of expertise we have combined. We did an early Bitcoin hackathon a couple years ago that was called Berlin, Texas, I believe. $1 million hackathon. I mean, the winner back then could we flew to Texas with the winners, and Christian was also part of it. And
so what could the winner win? A Bitcoin or?
No, well, in Berlin the winner could win a flight to Texas, and in Texas you could actually, like, the prize money was $1 million in Bitcoin theoretically. I mean, but it was still fun. You know, we were early, and we
when was that?
I think it was 2013 or so, around. And Rootz has been organizing the several Bitcoin events in like the CCC Chaos Congress circle, mostly during the Congress, and we did Lightning Hackdays. We started that a couple of years ago, and the Lightning Conference 2019 in Berlin, and it kind of continues from there. Mostly development focused events, because we thought, or we think, it's kind of missing in this space. I mean, it's gotten a lot better. There are more events and hackathons based on Lightning and Bitcoin, and also focused on the Berlin and the German community. So we've basically done meetups for the past years at Room 77, and now like all over Berlin, depending on the occasion. And I think now we're even doing it more internationally. We're also a bit involved in the Adopting Bitcoin conference in El Salvador in mid-November. So we're helping with our sort of expertise and contacts and all that to organize it on the ground, and also trying to fly over some people from Germany and from Berlin just to help out and explore the possibilities. That's sort of from the event side, if you will, and there's another side to that. It's more of a technical side. So maybe just to give some context, we're sitting here waiting for the meetup tonight happening, and we're actually, since Room 77 is closed, we're at Friedel Richter, which is also in a restaurant that's been accepting Bitcoin for 7 or 8 years now, and it's a great choice, and the kitchen is opening up right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is explaining some of the background noise. I think you might not be able to hear all of it because we're close to the microphones, but this one was kind of prominent. But, yeah. So coming back, we're basically doing two things, or like over the years, the one is events and the other one is a more technical sort of exploration of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. And I think the most prominent project is the Raspiblitz, which I think Christian is the most prominent guy to give like some overview about. So I think
yes,
Rootz can explain it a bit better.
So now, Rootz, what does Fulmo mean?
Yeah, Fulmo for me means really this getting pushing the Lightning Network forward. The word itself.
Yeah.
This is what Jeff
Full
told
motion
me.
Or what?
No, this is what Jeff told me, that Fulmo is lightning or blitz in Esperanto.
Ah, that's interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah. So that was good. I was also asking Jeff, why does Fulmo is okay? Sounds a little bit like FOMO or something, but no, it was Fulmo. It's Esperanto, and I like that. So
yeah, that's nice. Okay, so Rootz, who are you? How did you get into the Bitcoin space?
Yeah, me, I'm coming a little bit from the software side, computer programmer. So, and had always interested in kind of new ideas, what the internet can bring us. And then we had, saw this Bitcoin thing early on, because I already had this idea, what is money? So, because after study, the rest of my life is about money. So what is this? And so I always had an interest there. And then I saw Bitcoin and said, yeah, I have to find out more about that, especially from the technical side. And then I joined this hackathon that Jeff was talking about, this Texas hackathon. It was also for me kind of a jump start into this, just get in there and learn a little bit. And and this worked quite so well and catched me there that we flew over to Texas to the big hackathon there. And so I had both at the same time, meeting the community behind it and also the technology. And since then I was part of the Room 77 kind of meetup scene. So we still connected there, still had my other jobs going on. And then at this one point, Jeff was, when Lightning was really coming out, was going to go mainnet. So Jeff was coming to me and asked me, do you have time or interest to push this Lightning thing now a little bit further, to focus on Lightning and push this payment angle? And I was excited to go, because it's an open source development, and I was always excited to work in this sphere. And so we started there. We did the hackathons, so the Lightning Hackdays, to experience with the community together what Lightning can do. And from there on, I think we grew a nice community, and we try to foster this and invite everybody to explore Lightning.
So you basically built a space for people to come to meet each other, to discuss new ideas and work together. Yeah, I mean, that's very much missing now, I guess. How did you do this through COVID now?
Oh, one of my favorite topics.
No, just short. I mean, did you have alternative online discussions?
We tried to I mean, we did some I think like well-received events online, as much as you can call that an event. But we tried to emulate it, the Lightning Hack Day online for a couple times. I mean, the advantage was that we could do it more often because it was a bit less organization, but also just having no physical presence kind of limited it to veterans, if you will. So we could establish something where people could work on some ideas and especially improve existing projects. During the time it's called the Lightning Hack Sprint. We might, depending on how the situation does evolve, we might do one again or two to cover the winter. But I think and Rootz did a great job organizing them. I wasn't super fond of doing online events, and
okay.
so I'm quite happy we can actually do some in-person stuff again.
Since you were mentioning the Room 77 several times, I did an interview with Jörg Platzer the other day, and just for the listeners and the viewers, there's also an interview with him online to find on my show. So let's talk about the Lightning Network in general. So since you were in the space since the beginning of the Lightning Network, what did you think about it at the beginning? Did you already back then think, okay, yes, that's really the technology that will help us to scale Bitcoin?
I think in the beginning, of course, there was all this time how to scale Bitcoin, and because we were excited in Room 77, we were able to pay our beer with Bitcoin at the time. So, and this was still working most of the time, but then fees, of course, getting a little bit higher. So we all felt the pressure at one point. And I always like to say Bitcoin changes when there is a pain point. And I think 2017, roundabout when we had this big hype, there was really this pain point for everybody. We don't want to make the blocks bigger, but now we have really to talk about how we can keep payments rolling. And then it was this, the Lightning idea was around. And in the beginning, I was a bit skeptical because the decentralization of the blockchain is great, and Lightning had sounded a little bit like, oh, there will be maybe just one big node everybody connects to. And the first time when you looked at the first nodes, you were seeing they were very all in the data centers, like spread. And you saw on the maps, you saw this big cluster of points, and this where the Amazon data centers or whatever data centers were. It was like, nah, this is not this where we want to go. And this was a little bit, but it's a permissionless software. Nobody stops you from decentralizing it. So it was these two things. It's open source and it's permissionless, so nobody can stop you to become part of this node and do a different kind of network there. And this is, I think, where the idea really sprung from, to push the ideas of run a node yourself and run it decentralized from home, so that you really have a network that is really run by us and not by some bigger players that just have big servers somewhere in some data centers. And the good thing was, and the good realization was, Lightning is really giving you this possibilities. The Bitcoin blockchain is small enough so that you can run it with a Raspberry Pi and a hard drive, and you can even run it from home behind Tor. So this were all the things in there to make it decentralized, but it needs a community to really running this to make it decentralized.
You were talking now about Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, or just the Lightning Network? Because, I mean, the Raspiblitz has both. It's a Bitcoin full node and a Lightning node. Did you start the Raspiblitz already before the Lightning Network or at the same time?
No, it started with the Lightning Network, okay. Because the idea was on the first hack day we were doing. We were saying, sure, we want to learn about the Lightning Network, so it's important to run it. So we invited people to bring their nodes or had some Raspberry Pis lying around, because there was this great tutorial from Staticus how to build your own Bitcoin full node, but with Lightning on a Raspberry Pi. So this is where the idea kind of started, to build something on a Raspberry Pi. There were people before running full nodes like on Raspberry Pi, so we were not the first. And then this was an older idea, but with Lightning it came very, very attractive again, because there was a little bit more active thing you could do than just validate the blockchain at home and maybe run one or two services on there. So now you could really be a part and replacing a payment network like Visa from your home. So this was very exciting, and I think having those both together made it a really attractive package for us. But there is value, of course, also to just run a Bitcoin node at home.
I mean, for me, I have one at home. The advantage is also that I have a separate device for the Bitcoin full node, so I don't need another laptop or a computer where I run it the whole time. So That's great. And so in general, speaking of the Lightning Network, what's the adoption at the moment? I heard there are a lot of channels and a lot of Bitcoin in the Lightning Network. What's the current state?
Yeah, I mean, especially during the past month, it has been, I think the adoption curve right now regarding channels and the amount of Bitcoin looks kind of parabolic. It's like going up, or exponential, I would say. Exponential. So it's been increasing at a pretty fast rate, and some people attribute that to the adoption in El Salvador, to the lay Bitcoin, because they're using a lot of, they are basically using the Lightning Network and kind of skip the Bitcoin on-chain part. And that's, I would say, is also backed by some of the latest numbers. I just, for example, there's the company called Bitrefill. They recently gave out some numbers, and they say the biggest, the highest number of payments that are made are coming from El Salvador, and they are using the Lightning Network. And a lot of the other sort of developing countries like Nigeria are also kind of skipping the on-chain part and going directly to Lightning. And just by the amount of payments they see coming in, it's a lot of Lightning. And I mean, usually the payments are smaller, so they do like $1, $2, $10 in comparison to on-chain payments, where it's usually like hundreds or thousands of dollars for whatever they are selling. But right now you can see, I think you have some traction in developing countries, and the list goes on. There's at least like 10 developing countries before you'll see. I think Sweden is relatively high up on their list, and the US as well, but other countries. And
Poland, I have seen, which is very interesting.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, that's also news to me. But there's like all these little clusters, and some of the activity can be explained. Some other activity is kind of coming out of the blue. Like we can also see it in the Fulmo shop, where we also sell the Raspiblitz as sort of a pre-assembled kit. And sometimes we see like an increase of orders from a certain country. For example, the other day we noticed like an increase of orders from South Africa, which we didn't look into yet, but it's kind of interesting to see these trends kind of coming up or popping up. So maybe it's probably just organic growth, and there's the sort of narrative of cross-border international payments that are frictionless, instant, low cost, plus relatively anonymous compared to on-chain transactions, is just coming into play, and we're seeing more and more adoption. There are more examples. Maybe you can add some more of the recent examples.
Just wanted to add what I can observe is that we saw it in the last hype. So Bitcoin was going up again. So of course this always steers interest. And I think this time it's very interesting to see that a lot of people come very well educated into the space. I think maybe it's thanks to really good podcasts, YouTube channels. No, it's really different.
It's much more than like 4 years ago or 5 years ago.
I can remember people coming into Room 77 Bitcoin meetups and just asking about the price and which other coin to buy and whatever. So just more like this trader talk. And this time it really feels that the people you see and connect and coming to meetups are much more already educated and get the idea that running your own node is part of being part of Bitcoin, and not just owning Bitcoins, or really running your own node. Then it's really your rules, and people really understand the idea of the self-sovereign part of Bitcoin, and not just as a speculative I have my Bitcoin now in my hardware wallet and that's it. So people understand the idea that there could be more there, and they're excited to use it.
That's great to hear.
So if I may add, and there's also more bigger projects integrating Bitcoin, and namely using Lightning. Like there was the Substack integration announced last week, I think. Twitter right now is working on an integration that was sort of, I mean, it's semi-official, but it's likely going to happen. It's not coming as a surprise. And they just skip the on-chain part again and go to Lightning directly, because that can actually accommodate their needs. And So it's, I guess, like the payment aspect of it is working out now. And
yeah, it's a little bit leapfrogging also technology here.
Yeah,
like from
exactly.
Twitter does the same, like people in Nigeria who have mobile phones and never had a landline phone or a desktop computer maybe. I mean, all the people, they all have smartphones.
Yeah, and that's a good explanation too. Like Lightning is more, how do you call it, like mobile native. You don't, like, a lot of the newer wallets are developed for mobile experience, and you don't really need, like, if you use it custodial, you don't need you don't need a full node. Of course, like, that's the next step, but for the first onboarding, it's pretty simple. You're able to receive Bitcoin in 30 seconds if you try. You go to the App Store, download a wallet, a custodial wallet, and then you're good to go. And it's pretty frictionless. Yeah,
but I think the Phoenix wallet, for instance, is a non-custodial wallet, and you can also like start very easy because they open the first channel for you.
Of course, yeah, and that's true too. There's better solutions that do have, like, keep the spirit, that are some more non-custodial, like Breeze or Phoenix, but allow you to kind of jumpstart into accepting payments.
And it's really very easy because I had my first Lightning wallet in beginning of 2019, I think, the Bitcoin Lightning wallet, the BLV wallet, and it was complicated because, I mean, I had, funnily enough, Udi Wertheimer explaining it to me, and he told me how to open a channel and things like that. But that's for regular people a no-go. I mean, you don't even understand how this works. But like in 2 years now, we have wallets like Breeze, which also have podcast streaming money integrated. Yeah, so that's really fast.
Yeah, we have to say in the beginning, a lot of people are complaining, oh, this Lightning network is so complicated. This will be too much for normal people. But now we're really seeing this, that there are wallets out there that are non-custodial. So it's your keys. So you're in control of your funds. But you give a little bit control away to those wallets, to those apps, because they manage a lot of stuff for you on the back end side. So they keep away the complexity for you. This is okay. This is a good compromise to start. And what Fulmo is a little bit about is to remind people also that you can go deeper into this, and you can get more and more control over your Lightning channels and how you connect to the network through which kind of nodes and so. And that's a good thing because it's open source, it's permissionless. You have the freedom. There's no company stopping you from really getting the full control to be with everybody on eye level on the network.
And I guess also, as you said, the narrative, I mean, the story about El Salvador accepting Bitcoin or saying it's legal tender now and using Lightning, I guess that has made news around the world and is also a reason for greater adoption.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of many things that play into this. It's also become more user friendly. I mean, if you look at the Raspiblitz, like where it started and how it's going, it has been getting a lot easier for bigger audience, if you will, and there are constant improvements to both like make it more accessible for more people, both by adding more options, like for example, we're right now in the process of finalizing the C Lightning integration. So there's, instead of just having LND, there's a second option for people who are more curious. Of course, this is still more sort of tech or developer focused, but before Christmas we're also going to see the web UI. So you can basically open up your browser and run everything through your browser, and you do not, right now it has more of a cypherpunk feel, like a bit 80s, you know, like, I mean, all you have to do is, it's relatively straightforward, but from the looks of it, there's still some people who feel a bit frightened by it or are reminded of their MS-DOS days. So this is going to be abstracted away while keeping sort of the open source spirit and the security still in mind, which takes some time, but right now we're like getting there, and it's getting more sort of early mainstream-ish.
So you're planning basically an interface, like a web interface, where I can like do the different things, like the menu is then in this web interface, nicely shiny.
Yeah. This is, I think there are also other node projects out there. So for say, example, Umbrel or MyNode, they showed very clearly that a lot of people like to have the comfort of a browser to treat your node or set up your node a little bit like you set up a home appliance. So if you, I don't know, if you get an online coffee machine or whatever, you also have a web browser to log in and set it up. So it should get a little bit to that direction. The Raspiblitz started a little bit more from this technical kind of point of view, from people that are a little bit more tech savvy. But of course, we were seeing this makes sense to also add this web UI. So there will be always both levels. So there will always be this techie way to interact with your Raspiblitz that gives you kind of the terminal at your fingertips and all those scripts and menus. So you really can use all the little even hidden options and features that you can use, but there will be more simplified kind of also web view that you can use for setup in the beginning. The goal is a little bit to get the people with this web UI maybe in the beginning, and then teach them a little bit like, oh, if you really want to go deeper, there is the SSH login, and there you get the kind of full power and the full craziness of what you can do out there with this open source land.
That reminds me now of my interview with Christian Decker from Blockstream. They have just launched a Greenlight project. Have you heard of that? Greenlight? No?
I think, yeah.
You should look it up, because it's basically a full node, a Lightning node that is basically very easy to use for everybody. So they enable people to onboard Lightning, having your own node. And then they want to educate people to offboard again. So they basically building an easy infrastructure of Lightning nodes that everybody can use. So
yeah, I like the idea. It's what when we keep in this space, really educating people to get self-sovereign, that's great. We always have to see there are other companies out there that maybe don't give you then this full control in the end. So this is maybe look at the other node projects if they really will give you full control.
They manage the payment channels for the people who lease or rent a node. Yeah,
there's a lot of. I think in the beginning it's okay to have some trade-offs. At least keep in mind not your keys, not your bitcoins. This should be a basic rule, I think, for the beginning. Custodial services can be maybe an option for local things or for local starting, or really for very, very early onboarding, or to give people a little taste and just play with very, very small values. But as soon as you take it into your personal everyday kind of use, you should at least have a non-custodial solution. And then when you really see it that it gets more and more important for your life, you should care a little bit to make it really more and more self-sovereign, because the possibilities are out there.
What I find interesting in my own use is that I hesitate to buy something with Bitcoin, but if it's something with Lightning, I have no problem actually, because maybe it's because it's then a less amount, or because of the fun of it, or I don't know, but it's interesting. So, and I think also we don't know how many payments we have in all these channels, because we also don't know how many channels and nodes we have. But what do you estimate? I mean, do we have more payments on the Lightning network than on the blockchain? Is there?
Yeah, I mean, most definitely there's more payments on the Lightning network than on the blockchain. It's hard to estimate it. Some of the custodial wallets or semi-custodial wallets give out some numbers every now and then. I think Wallet of Satoshi actually has a counter on their website where they tell you how many payments they made. But there's no way to really say it or like aggregate any like objective number, because it's, what's one of the features that the whole world doesn't know about your payments, but it's just the nodes that are somewhat in your payment routing that are involved in the routing.
Yeah.
And just think for yourself, the blockchain has in good days maybe 8 transactions per second. So and then see what there are applications in Lightning out there where you have streaming streaming donations with podcasting, where people send a Satoshi every 10 minutes.
Every minute maybe? Or
So you can set the interval. So even just a small amount, maybe 1,000 people trying this out worldwide produce already more than the blockchain is handling right now. And this is just talking about one application where people are experimenting. And there is the community out there. You can see that the people are real. It's not kind of fake numbers or so. So you can... If you find these people, you see all this content. So there's definitely happening more on the Lightning Network than on the blockchain.
Yeah, and it's we don't know how many Bitcoin or transactions can actually be done on the Lightning Network. Or it's endless.
Yeah, it's in the end, every channel. Of course, there are some limits how every channel can update. But of course, you can have multiple channels. It scales with the amount of channels, and of course, the length of you have to take through the network. But yeah, if we would need to scale up, you just add more channels to it, and put new routes through the network, or find new routes through the network, and you can scale bigger.
One of the things is that it enabled some use cases that were not or that didn't work or don't work on Bitcoin on-chain, and so it's also a bit you can really compare it that well, because you wouldn't do like Sphinx transactions where you send around messages that cost a Satoshi or so to send. You couldn't do this on a Bitcoin network, and so you have a lot of transactions that are sort of created natively on the Lightning network that couldn't be done before. And this creates, of course, a lot of transactions, but those are not transactions that could have been done anyway. So it's kind of hard to compare to maybe just for the payment use case, for example. But it's just one thing too.
Maybe one thing to be a little bit more critical, at least, of the Lightning Network. There's still the question: if tomorrow the rest of the world everybody wants to use the Lightning Network in a non-custodial way, so everybody would need kind of a channel.
Raspiblitz.
At least one Raspiblitz, and open at least one channel to the network to be connected. And there you can see a little bit the bottleneck with the blockchain. So we can just onboard at the moment like 8 people per second roundabout. There are small techniques maybe to already scale this or optimize this a bit, but you can make the numbers a bit and see if tomorrow everybody in the world wants to use the Lightning Network in a non-custodial way, there might be still a bit of problem. But again, here's something: the development is still going on of the Lightning Network, so it's a continuous process. And people like Christian Decker and with all these ideas of channel factories and all those kind of ideas, how you can put multiple people with one transaction. So there's a lot of stuff still happening, and we will see progress also there.
I mean, it's if you make that kind of thought, it's just like saying quantum computing is going to destroy Bitcoin, but it doesn't come overnight. It's just like quantum computers are not going to come overnight. Not everybody in the world is going to onboard overnight on the Lightning Network, and we're seeing lots of progress, and there are also improvements on the way to make sort of onboarding, if you want to call it, opening channels more efficient, and where you can make better use of the block space. So I think like it develops with the sort of the demand, and there are constant improvement, and there's a lot of talent and a lot of eyes on the development, both for Bitcoin and for Lightning. During the past 3 years, we've seen lots of development, and a lot of new developers or also bigger players come into sort of entering the game. One big example would be Square Crypto, which does a lot of development funding, has the LDK, the Lightning Development Kit, and the Bitcoin Development Kit. And you have Jack Dorsey, who is like a big sort of fan of Bitcoin and Lightning, and who does a lot to promote it. And that wasn't really visibly here just 2 years ago. So you have to kind of and then so there's been a huge step forward. And if you kind of project in the future, a couple years on, maybe 5 or even 10 years, there's a lot of things that could happen if we continue to go where we're going, where it looks like we are going right now. If the sort of trajectory keeps kind of evolving into the way it's headed right now.
What are the most exciting like projects or apps or possibilities with the Lightning Network that you have seen in the recent months?
Besides the Raspiblitz?
We're talking about the Raspiblitz later a little bit. I mean also what's working on the Raspiblitz, for instance.
Just in general,
let's say for creators, for instance, or to earn Bitcoin. examples like the podcasting 2.0 movement, where you can earn sats streaming money over podcasting. And I think there are a lot of other possibilities now.
There is two different things. You can earn as just being a participant in the Lightning Network, like be on the edges, having content and just having a client and find your business model in gaming or micro content. Something that's a little bit more that where you don't need a complete full node for. The Raspiblitz is then optimized to be really part of this routing network, right? So that you really run a node within the network, and of course you can earn fees for routing. So so a lot of people are attracted by this to try this out and then manage their channels in a way that they earn even a little bit from. Of course, they lock a little bit kind of Bitcoin into the capacity and hope to get some interest out of this. So I have to warn you: this journey can fail. So if you're real, so don't get too crazy. Don't just buy a Raspiblitz and think I will be rich tomorrow because I'm routing here. Because to find a kind of good spot in the network and see where is demand for routing and where you provide maybe cheaper routes than there were before, that's not an easy thing to do. So and I'm personally not very good at that. To say I'm not earning money with my Raspiblitz at home, I have to say. So
and regarding the sort of the most exciting use cases, I think there's at least 3 big use cases that kind of came up during the past month. That's one, Christian mentioned it already, it's gaming and kind of streaming sets. We've seen like gaming platforms or initiatives like MintGox or Satoshi's Games, which does a lot of micropayments for gaming and does tournaments and integrates Lightning sort of seamlessly into existing games, sort of as a way to monetize wins and losses too, I guess. Then you do have like this content creation sort of model where you can independently pay for content like the podcasting, and we've seen a lot of discussions recently with the sort of change of the business model of OnlyFans. That people are saying like we could use this because basically they say we're not going to fund certain business models anymore on OnlyFans, and they could move to a permissionless and uncensorable platform, which is powered by Lightning in that case. And so those two, and I was thinking of a third one, but it slipped my mind right now.
Now, what I've seen recently is a website with short interviews of Bitcoiners, but you can only see it if you pay upfront a little bit of Satoshi. So
yeah,
Lightning.
That's a cryptography project.
Cryptography, yeah, exactly.
I forgot the name, but he interviewed a bunch of people in Miami at the Bitcoin 2021 in Miami and put up their kind of snippets and
understand. Yeah, that's it.
So it's like a paywall solution for video content. It's
exactly.
Pretty nice, yeah.
Yeah, but there are so many different now. Like LNbits. Is this LNbits? What is enabling these things? Or I don't know. That's.
So LNbits is also they provides also possibilities to have kind of plugins you can install and use. For example, Ben that is developing on the LNbits is on their podcast show, podcast video show. They have a YouTube show. They have so little QR codes during the show where people can pay during the show, and then something happens, like he gets slapped in the face or something. So or even now gambling a little bit, like you can win some sets, but then if you lose, you see something. So it's a very much experimentation phase there at the moment. But we can see this also maybe that people can be paid for music selections, DJs, donations. I think the donation thing is very, very, because the streaming on the podcast is also value for value. So it's a kind of donation idea behind this. I think for this little micropayments, this is the thing that works worldwide. So you have all those worldwide audience. You're not, when you hear in the store want to sell something for Lightning or so, you maybe have it hard to find your customer base. But if you have services online content, micropayments, gaming, those are the things where we will see the most interesting kind of changes. And again, this is something that was not possible before, to send really the small fractions of amounts through the internet. So even a Visa network or a PayPal was not giving you this options. So There's definitely a niche that's there to explore.
Yeah, and without friction, yeah, that's the fantastic thing. I mean, if I only have to hold up my smartphone and pay over a QR code a Lightning invoice to see a video, I mean, that's great. Yeah.
It's always nice when you pay something happens. So it's so it's I did that with my payment.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the Raspiblitz more in detail. So on your website, it says, not your node, not your rules. Can you explain why you have that as a message on your website and what it means?
Everybody knows not your keys, not your Bitcoin. That's totally fair. So if you have your private key, only you can move your coins on the blockchain. So you're in control of your coins. But there is more to a money system, because which rules is this money system, the coins that you have, which rules are they following? So and if you don't have your own full node, if you don't have your own node, you're trusting somebody else to check those rules. So for example, if I receive Bitcoin, I maybe can check. I can maybe see. Oh yeah, there is on my private key. There are no more coins like locked for my more coins in control of my key. But if I really got this Bitcoin that is still to the rule of 21 million and all those other kind of small rules we gave us, if this is really for that, it's really hard to ensure. And the only way to do this in the end is really to run your own hardware, to run your own full node, so that you really can make sure that the Bitcoin I received are really the Bitcoin that follow the rules I agreed on.
And just in case if there would be a hard fork, how would you offer that to Raspiblitz users? I mean, what would I need to do? Would you then have update or not update? Or
yeah, there can be multiple options. First of all, you have to question if we as the people that at the moment maintain the software will offer you this option. So there could be, if it's a very popular thing when people are not decided, sure, we will do this. But if it's just one guy that says, I have a hard fork here, I want to do, we will not include this option there. But the good thing is, if you have the project is open source, so even if the maintainers of the project, so we say, well, we don't think this thing is relevant here, somebody else can just take the complete Raspiblitz and integrate the other software there and just put it and even make like Fulmo, like sell even prepackaged nodes and whatever, like can completely copy us, but just with his hard fork. So this freedom is there, and this is the important freedom we want to guarantee, and this is why we so importantly press that open source, and really all those open source rules are important. So basically, yes, of course, we want to try to support, to give people choice. But again, the freedom is guaranteed by having the software open source.
So running a full node and a Lightning node, I guess in that case, is the level of financial sovereignty where you are your own bank. Before, if you hold Bitcoin and you hold your own keys, you're basically a Bitcoiner, yeah, not a pre-coiner anymore. But really self-sovereign, you're only with a node. Because I think also verifying transactions, you can do it then with your own, how's it called? Blockstream Explorer, because you're, no, not Blockstream Explorer.
Yeah, blockchain Explorer. Right. I know some people can get confused.
Yeah, I mean, there is Blockstream Info, so yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also integrated on the Raspiblitz, so I can activate that and then use my own Blockchain Explorer on the Raspiblitz and can be sure that that's really that I'm verifying on my node the transaction.
Yeah, you're validating all the transactions. So
validating.
Yeah, so you're really you're listening in the network, in the peer-to-peer network, what new transactions are coming around. So you just forward those that you see are based on your rules, and then some miners find this transaction, get this, put it into a block, and then you validate every block. So and you see that, and you follow the blockchain that is depending to your rules. So yeah, it's somebody can trick you. If you just go to a website and there put in your Bitcoin address and you see a number there, how can you be sure that this is really the amounts you have? And even the hardware wallets that you have use software to manage the hardware wallet. Which service is it talking to? If it's just the Trezor main server, how do you know that Trezor is not showing you some numbers that are not real? So they're good people. I don't want to imply anything here, but just as an example. So to really have your own node, then you really can be sure that this is really your rules that you have. Of course, there's one little compromise. You haven't checked your whole software yourself, right? So. Yeah, so this is the only compromise you have to say. Of course, why you're trusting now Fulmo, for example, releasing here a Raspiblitz software that you just run, and then you trust that number. Maybe we're lying to you. But again, the good thing is it's open source. You can check if it's really the Bitcoin Core release from the Bitcoin Core developers. Now you get the numbers down to the Bitcoin Core developers. There are people now doing checks. So this is a very deep trust thing you can go to.
There are different levels of trust, and I mean, if I use Bitcoin, I also trust the Bitcoin Core developers, So and hope guys like you or people like you check the Bitcoin Core developers again and things like that. But that's the way open source development works, and it's the best way we have found. I mean, it's not without reason that Linux is, I think, bigger than Microsoft on all the servers globally in relation. Like, more servers are run by Linux than Microsoft.
Yeah, so I hope so.
Yeah, I guess so.
I haven't checked personally.
The current version is, I think, 0.17 or something.
The version of the Raspiblitz?
Yeah.
It's 1.70 at the moment.
1.70,
and at the moment we are just in releasing in the 1.71, which will have this what Jeff was talking, the integration of C-Lightning. Just as a background, the Lightning protocol is an open specification, so it's a protocol, and then people need to put this into software. So it's like we talked about Bitcoin Core for the Bitcoin Core team. There are also other implementations of the Bitcoin protocol. So like with Lightning, there's very famous the LND from Lightning Labs. This is what we had on the Raspiblitz until now, and a lot of other nodes out there use the LND. But there are also the implementation from Blockstream called C-Lightning, and it was always a little bit not easy to have it running with your own node. So Raspiblitz is now having the option that you can choose in the beginning when you set up, if I want to do Lightning with LND, or do I want to do the Lightning thing with the C-Lightning? And if everything works out, you might even be possible to run both in parallel on the Raspiblitz. So you can then later on play a little bit and see what better fits.
And on top of these implementations, do I then have different applications? Or do those applications like LNBits, what Ben is building, do they work on both implementations? Yeah,
that's a good question, because basically those applications that you install on your Raspiblitz to get more comfort or to do extra stuff, they normally have to choose how to integrate with Lightning, right? So because they don't. They need a Lightning implementation to talk to the Lightning network. They don't talk directly. They need a Lightning implementation, and so they are normally a little bit more built to fit one implementation. And so we were seeing a lot of applications using LND in the background, and so you see a lot of stuff is happening with that. But now we're getting C-Lightning, and a lot of developers already express interest to also have their application run on C-Lightning. For instance, LNBits, I think, already had the C-Lightning possibility to run on C-Lightning. It will not come with the first release we have that you can run LNBits with C-Lightning, but that's something we hope the community will contribute very fast, so that you can even run LNBits on LND or on C-Lightning. RTL, for example, is the software that makes it also a little bit more easy for you with a web interface to manage your node. They already are a possibility to run LND or C-Lightning, and there's also apps that just run on C-Lightning. C-Lightning has a plugin structure. It's something that LND has not in that kind of way, and you find also a lot of plugins out of the internet that you can use now with C-Lightning that don't run with LND. So But again, those are just the special apps for really the people that really want to go deep inside. Your Lightning wallets or whatever, basically, depends which one you use. But again, that's the Lightning Network on another level.
Understand. And when Taproot?
You mean like the
integration or the preparation for November?
We will have the latest Bitcoin core client in the next version. So
okay. So in the next version,
yeah.
When does it come out?
We are having now the release candidate 1 repackaging. This will need some weeks of testing after that. So let's say if everything takes time as usual, mid of September, end of September, we should see something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you can already update it through the menus. It's just if you go for like the full Flash your SD card update for Bitcoin Core. I mean, if you're really eager, you just you can go through the menu and update Bitcoin Core manually.
I always just do it that way. So like taking the card out and.
No, through in the setup and like the setup menu, there's an option to update Bitcoin Core, just like you can update LND to the latest version. Mm-hmm. But I think it's like depends on how deep you want to go and what your kind of security or comfort level is. I personally, due to time constraints, I like to wait for like the well-tested kind of collected releases, like the once the final release of 7.1 is out. I know like there have been enough eyes on it. Yeah. But if you're feeling adventurous or reckless, you can always run the latest update that's available through the update menu and already have it today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything else we didn't mention about the Raspiblitz that you think is interesting for listeners?
It depends what listeners are out there. So if you really just heard the first time, or maybe the first time in detail about Raspiblitz, this sounds like that you maybe haven't run a node yet. So here I want just to make your to just encourage you, just try it out. Even if it's not the Raspiblitz, even if it's the Umbrel, for example, that already comes with. It's better than running no node for first. And there's a good thing. The Raspiblitz version that we have right now already has a migration feature, so you can turn your Umbrel node then into a Raspiblitz, even if you think you want to go full open source. So even this is possible. So I want to encourage people just to play with it and see where you are on the sovereignty ladder. If you have time and you're excited about Bitcoin, this is definitely a great step to do. And remember what you really do. If you run a node in the Lightning Network, you are part of replacing the VISA and the Mastercard network. So this is exactly the payment networks that we had there, and they are not permissionless, and so this is now you can run this from your home and be part of this routing infrastructure. And then get educated how you be a good routing node. That's not my expertise. I'm a little bit more for the hardware and software side. So, but the node management, I think this is also people that you find with Fulmo that help you on that side.
Mm-hmm. So, where are resources? Where can people find resources? How to run a Raspiblitz? Are there groups on Telegram or somewhere where they can join and ask questions?
Yeah, so since it's a community-run project, there are Telegram groups. It's like Raspiblitz DE for the German version, Raspiblitz ES for the Spanish version. I think those are the 3 biggest channels on Telegram, with a couple hundred to a couple thousand people. There are lots of YouTube videos available where people from the community just made tutorials on either certain apps or just the basics, how to build it and how to install it. And of course, the core of it is on GitHub. So if you just search for Raspiblitz GitHub, you get like the whole software package plus the parts that you can buy on to assemble it. And it's actually a great weekend project. It sounds a bit like maybe if you haven't done it before, it sounds a bit hard, but it's really just 3 or 4 pieces of hardware. And if you have ever played Lego before, and if you held a screwdriver before, it's absolutely doable.
And it's fun, but
you flash your SD card, you put it in, and you can run it. And
what we didn't mention is that you can buy the Raspiblitz like fully assembled, or you can buy the parts by yourself.
I mean, the part of the idea is it's an open source project. There are several developers, but Rootz is the main developer, sort of the daddy of Raspiblitz, and through the selling the pre-assembled full nodes, we're also able to pay for sort of his food and his roof, and so that's basically like going back to support the whole project. But of course, it's open source and everybody can download it, modify it, or build their own hardware. Oh, we got fans out there.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those are several ways, and you can also reconfigure if you have an old Raspberry Pi lying around. Just buy some additional parts. It's like off-the-shelf hardware. It's no special hardware. You can get it at any local electronics store, or you should be able to get it. Maybe not looking at the shortages we are facing partly, but that's a different question. You know, you can build it yourself off the shelf parts.
And yeah, if you really want to have a quick jump into it, you find on the Fulmo shop the pre-assembled Raspiblitz. And I can say basically it's a Raspberry Pi you can use for 1,000 other things with a hard drive. So
at the same time?
Yeah, I don't advise you to do it at the same time. I just want to say, if you think, I buy this piece of hardware that costs maybe some €100, and then I will not do nothing with it. This is still a Raspberry Pi universal computer, and I think if you have some geeks in your friend kind of ships, people are very happy to play with it. Even if they will not run a full node, they maybe will make other crazy cool stuff with it. So
yeah, so money is not lost.
Yeah,
that's
money is
what
not
you
lost.
mean.
That's the point. So it's a good thing if you want to try this out. Try it for yourself. If you then see it's not personally for you, think of somebody else that might be interested in running a full node. And if there's no other Bitcoiner interested in your area, you can give it away to other people that just want to learn and tinker in general with electronics and Raspberry Pis. So.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys.
I do have a Lightning-related question, if I may.
Yeah.
I've noticed you have a tattoo. I think that's no secret. I've seen it on Twitter before.
That's no secret, no.
Yeah.
It's a tattoo.
Is it actually related to the Lightning Network?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's also, you see, it's also on my book. It's basically my logo.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I thought, Lightning and Bitcoin has been a very important part in my life in the last 4.5 years. And I found what I really wanted to do all my life. I basically didn't know that, like in 2009, that there's Bitcoin. But now I found it. And so I identify a lot with the community and the ethos and the philosophy. And I didn't want to tattoo a Bitcoin sign. So, and with that, it's always I can say, it's for energy or something like that. If people, there are some people who don't like Bitcoin, and so I can always hide away.
Yeah, you're more like it's more subtle advertising.
It's subtle advertising. People like you, immediately know what it means. Yeah.
Nice tattoo.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Where can people find and follow you?
On Twitter, I'm Rootz, so ROOTZLL, and Fulmo is FULMO. So it's Fulmo Lightning on Twitter, and the Fulmo shop is shop.fulmo.com. So. .org, but sure. We're not that commercial. We're sorry. I have to learn my marketing pitch better. Sorry for that. So or Raspiblitz.org. You will find tutorials about our information.
I've seen that you sold 1,000 Raspiblitz by now on the website.
So I don't think it says it on the website, but
I've seen it somewhere.
Maybe that's a fair estimation.
Okay.
We should have to run the numbers.
Anyway, but I just wanted to say, when you then have sold 1 million Raspiblitzes, then you will also be better in marketing, because you will do so many interviews then. Okay.
I think Christian is good at coding software, hardware.
Oh, but he's also a good speaker.
And we're trying, of course.
For a developer.
In any case, shop.fulmo.org is the website.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did. Subscribe to the Anita Post Show at anita.link/subscribe, and please share the episodes with your friend and your family. See you next week when it's time for the Anita Post Show. Goodbye.